All right, we're going to be talking climate change. Africa, of course, has been said to be the most vulnerable continent to climate change, impacting a number of scenarios above 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now, despite having contributed the least to global warming and having the lowest emissions, Africa faces exponential collateral damage, posing systemic risks to its economies, infrastructure investments, water, food systems, public health, agriculture, and the like, with respect to what the impacts could be. Coming home to Nigeria, the duration and intensity of rainfall has increased, producing large runoffs and flooding in many parts of the country. Rainfall variation is projected to continue to increase, with precipitation in southern areas expected to rise, along with rising sea levels expected to exacerbate flooding and submersion of coastal lands. So we're going to be having a discussion on this with the German State Secretary and Special Representative for International Climate Policy, Jennifer Lee Morgan, to discuss the effects of global warming on the opportunities available for Nigeria and the like. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So as far as the specific challenges that you see global warming posing to younger generations of Nigerians and Africans, what are they?
Well, I think we're seeing the challenges right now, but I think for younger generations, if we don't change course and drive down the emissions that are causing climate change and global warming, then there'll be more intense droughts. That means food issues, food security, the price of food, the availability of food, more floods. It sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes there'll also be more floods. Heat waves. I mean, you're seeing more and more high temperature days across the continent. Here in Nigeria as well will be more prevalent. That has massive health issues. So I was here at the university today speaking to young people because the consequences will hit them very hard if we don't turn the course right away.
So as far as doing that, turning the course, can you elaborate on the urgency of the collective action in addressing climate change and mitigating its impacts?
Absolutely. So all countries, just about all, 196 countries signed the Paris Agreement and ratified it back in 2015. That means collectively we've all said, okay, we're going to take action to reduce emissions. We need to reduce emissions by about half globally by 2030 and get them to zero by 2050. But that means that developed countries like Germany really need to take the lead, and that's what we're working to do to drive down our emissions. But it's really about a transformation of our economies. It's about driving forward renewable energy. It's about creating those new jobs, also here on the African continent. And that means collaboration. So the collective effort. Yes, each country needs to take its action, but we need to work together to get the financing and the investment to countries like Nigeria and across Africa to build up solar energy, wind energy, to bring those benefits to youth, particularly here on the continent and other countries.
Nigeria's reliance on fossil fuel exports is a risky strategy. What do you make of that? I guess that transition to renewable energy, there's been a lot of debate around that because, oil and gas is the lifeblood of the country, as it is in a number of other emerging markets. So how do you navigate that dynamic?
It's a key question, and I think obviously fully respect Nigeria and its vast resources that it has in gas and the need to be continuing in that direction for some time. But step by step, I would say building out the renewable energy capacity of Nigeria, massive solar capacity here. Unfortunately, many tens of millions without any energy access. So I think Nigeria, with its energy transition plan, has this incredible opportunity to be transitioning away step by step. We're not talking about from today to tomorrow, as also global demand declines, but at the same time in parallel, and this is where Germany and Nigeria are working closely together, build up that capacity, those solar generators, solar cook stoves, in order to be shifting in that direction over time. We're talking about a massive challenge, but also a great opportunity. And we in Germany, as I said, we're moving first, but we all agree to that transition. That needs to be just. So a step-by-step process, but really a focus, I would say, on taking advantage also of the other resources of Nigeria, like solar energy.
Well, so I guess as far as those key steps are concerned, a lot of the debate has revolved around the cost. It's you know, there's a lot's been said. Yeah, if you see what went on at the previous, you know, COP27, COP28 gatherings. So I guess as far as the key steps is you know, assistance as far as financing involved. Can you flesh out any one of those? What those key steps would be as far as collaboration between Germany, Nigeria, and other nations?
Absolutely. So I think in terms of costs, I mean, we're seeing in countries like Germany and my own, the cost of renewable energy actually has dropped dramatically. And our electricity prices are lower because we are building out, we have 56% renewables in our electricity grid right now. In Africa, that's not the case. It costs 8 times as much to get renewables moving in Africa as in Europe. So what we're working on together is how to shift that, how to bring down the cost of capital or the risks in investing in Africa through things like getting policy frameworks here, but also bringing in private sector finance, working with international financial institutions to be able to scale up solar energy here in Africa. We also have a Nigeria energy support program here in Nigeria where we're working also on reducing demand. And I want to just mention that because if you think about temperatures going up and having to use air conditioners more, well, they need to be really efficient, use less energy. That's a win-win solution where Germany and Nigeria are already working together on building out those types of standards. And third, I would say the workforce. So making sure that Nigerians, and we have quite a lot of work happening already in this space that we want to scale up, are trained in order to be building out the solar and renewable energy capacity here. And that's a key thing for the jobs that I talked about. You don't just come from nowhere. We need to work together, get that workforce skilled up in order to be implementing these solutions.
So if the layman on the street asks you, hey, Jennifer, what opportunities does switching to renewable energy offer for Nigeria's future and how it can contribute to a cleaner, safer energy landscape, how would you articulate that to that individual?
I would start by saying, imagine you have a solar generator instead of a diesel generator. And a solar generator that doesn't emit or spew out the pollution that you're having to experience with the diesel one. That's affordable for you and your family. That is dependable as well. And how about if we start with your home and then we look within your community? We get that happening on a local clinic, which is happening now. Build it out on hospitals, avoiding the blackouts that are occurring with solar generators and with storage. And then I would talk about how we can bring that kind of energy to families and households all across the country by scaling that up with getting the right policies in place, and how Germany will work together to bring in the financing, get the local solutions and the private sector involved, and the startups that can happen all across the country. It's about harnessing the sun, which Nigeria has a great amount of, into this latest technology to make your life better.
Thank you so much for your time and speaking to us, Jennifer Lee Morgan, who of course is the German State Secretary and Special Representative for International Climate Policy. Appreciate your time.